Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Has Been German, the only show on the internet. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Bomb Rush Cyberfunk, the latest game by Team Reptile, the creators of Lethal League and Lethal League Blaze. So, as you may expect, just from that development history, they know how to make games that are stylish as hell. They know how to pick a solid soundtrack. They know who to pick to create the soundtrack, which this game's absolute highlight to me are the three new songs by Hideki Naganuma, the guy who's behind most of the music in Jet Set Radio and Jet Set Radio Future, and Sonic Rush, and a bunch of other games that were Japan only or arcade only. But if you go to his SoundCloud, you'll find a lot of good stuff, that's for damn sure. So, what is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk? It's kind of a mix of an extreme sports game like Tony Hawk and a 3D platformer like, Super Mario 64, weirdly enough. Uh, or if you know what Jet Set Radio is, this game is like Jet Set Radio. And that's all you need to know that it's a lot of fun. It's incredibly stylish. It plays incredibly smoothly, unlike Jet Set Radio. I replayed Jet Set Radio and played Jet Set Radio Future for the first time earlier this year to prepare for the release of Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. And I can tell you right now for free that Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, in terms of gameplay, and obviously in terms of visual fidelity, but it's not really fair to compare to 20-year-old games, or the 20-year-old games, is a hell of a lot better. The gameplay is massively improved. Everything is incredibly smooth. You land where you want to land. Your air dash is incredibly useful and allows for additional maneuverability. There's a manual system now, and which allows you to tie combos, try tricks together in combos, kind of like you do in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Except in this game, the manual is timer based and not based on how well you can balance the control stick. Which at first I thought was kind of lame that it was so straightforward, just like the grinding where you can't fail it. But what does make it interesting is that the manual timer does not reset in between tricks unless you do an aerial boost trick, which take a lot longer to complete than the regular ones and can't just be done when jumping around on a flat surface. So if you're jumping down the stairs while doing a manual, try to do a boost trick to refill the manual meter, and then you can tie those tricks together. There's some insane achievements in this game. When I beat the game, I only got 2 out of the many achievements because this game doesn't mess around. It's not like I got 40,000 points in a combo. That's an achievement. No, it's get 12 million points in a single combo in this specific area of the game. Those are the kinds of things completionists can look forward to. And it's nice that this game has additional completionist features because now that I was used to Baldur's Gate 3, playing it non-stop for 2 weeks, it was kind of nice to play a game that takes 9 hours to complete. And most of those 9 hours you're going to spend looking for ways to navigate the world, which is the core gameplay. There are moments in which you have to perform tricks to complete crew battles, but the primary focus on this game is the platforming. Because in order to unlock the next stage of the story, you'll always have to spray paint a sufficient number of hostile graffitis, you always have to paint over a certain number of enemy graffiti to draw them out, to gain enough reputation, rep in an area to get people to notice you. Then you force them to do a crew battle, and then when you win, you're one step closer to your goal of going all city, which basically means dominating the entire city. There's a lot more to the story, and there are some really fun narrative sequences that I don't think you can replay. I think those are actually just exclusive to your playthrough, which are really neat, which really go crazy with what this movement system allows you to do, which is grinding and wall riding and air dashing and everything you need for an over-the-top extreme sports game. And overall, the only two problems I have with this game are, one, the soundtrack is not as good as it could have been. There are some absolute bangers, obviously by Hideki Naganuma, the funky uncle, big chungus of video game composers. And there's a song by Too Mellow that I really like. Too Mellow in general makes really good stuff, and is probably pretty hyped to be in the same soundtrack as his primary inspiration for becoming a musician, if I had to guess. So that's great. But I don't know if Hideki Naganuma is really his primary inspiration, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. Now, the other problem that I have with the game is the way you fight off enemies. Because just like in Jet Set Radio and I guess GTA, you build up heat over time. And the higher the heat, the more dangerous groups the police is going to send after you. And the police, they can pop up out of the ground from little police boxes, which is really nifty. And the heat system itself is pretty great, pretty creative. It starts off with just regular dudes with batons. Then turrets start popping out that shoot homing handcuffs at you, which slow you down. And more that I'm not going to spoil here. And the one problem I have with that there is that you defeat humanoid enemies by either dashing into them or by kicking them repeatedly. And I don't like that as much as the Jet Set Radio approach, where you basically humiliate them by spray painting on their backs while they're knocked over, where you essentially defeat the establishment through the power of independent art, which is, the entire point of Jet Set Radio. But this is exclusively limited to the humanoid enemies. Any mechanical enemies that you come across, like the turrets, for example, are taken out by dashing into them and then spray painting their sensors to shut them down. Which, yeah, it's just like Jet Set Radio. It conveys this message of defeating the norm through your character alone, through the rule of the street, or whatever. I don't know. I'm not. I'm neither into hip hop nor a person of color, so I have no idea how to phrase this properly. I should not have said that I'm leaving it in, because I'm not a coward. I'm not a coward. And yeah, those are the two things that keep this game from being an 11 out of 10. Yeah, some of the songs are a little bit annoying, and I don't like the physical altercations with the police, where it would have been much more thematically appropriate to spray paint them and humiliate them and force them to retreat in shame. So, unfortunately, this game is only a 10 out of 10, which is really excellent for me because it means that I got the chance to play two 10 out of 10 games in a row. What sets this game apart from Baldur's Gate 3, however, the previous 10 out of 10, is that this one runs at the highest settings at 60 FPS on the Steam Deck. That's incredible, and you can really tell. It may look a little pixely when blown up to a larger screen, but playing it on the Steam Deck like I was for the entirety of my playthrough, the game looks absolutely gorgeous. The animations are nice and smooth, the colors are popping, and what else do you need from a Jet Set Radio game? It looks gorgeous, as you can see, and it sounds great, and it plays a lot better than the old Jet Set Radio games. So if Sega is actually remaking Jet Set Radio, which there was a rumor going around a while ago, they got a lot to compete against here, because Bomber Cyberfunk is the best Jet Set Radio game that exists. If somebody modded more Hideki Naganuma into it, it would become by far the greatest Jet Set Radio game ever made. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this game for now. Next up is Whisker Squadron. So if you would like to hear more about Whisker Squadron Survivors, then make sure you subscribe. And if you found this video at all informative, entertaining, and good to fall asleep to, make sure you like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment about what your graffiti artist's name would be, or is, if you are one. Mine would be Hippo Man. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.